In what could be one of the most seismic shifts in South African rugby in recent years, Springboks head coach Rassie Erasmus is reportedly considering a bold and controversial restructuring of his squad that would see several established stars potentially sidelined in favor of emerging talent. Sources close to the situation suggest that marquee names including Malcolm Marx, Andre Esterhuizen, and Sacha feinberg-mngomezulu could find themselves on the outside looking in as Erasmus pivots toward building a new generation of Springbok warriors. This stunning development has sent shockwaves through the rugby community, with fans and analysts alike questioning whether the mastermind behind South Africa's recent World Cup success is taking an unnecessary gamble or demonstrating the visionary thinking that has defined his tenure. Erasmus has never been one to shy away from difficult decisions or unpopular choices. His track record speaks for itself, having guided the Springboks to World Cup glory in 2019 and again in 2023, cementing his legacy as one of the great coaches in the sport's history. But this latest move, if it comes to fruition, represents something different entirely. Rather than tweaking around the edges or making subtle adjustments to a winning formula, Erasmus appears ready to tear up the script and start fresh with players who have yet to prove themselves on the international stage. The reasoning behind such a drastic overhaul remains the subject of intense speculation, but those familiar with Erasmus's philosophy suggest this aligns perfectly with his long-term vision for South African rugby. Malcolm Marx has been one of the most consistent and dominant hookers in world rugby for the better part of a decade. His combination of technical excellence at the set piece, devastating carrying ability, and relentless work rate in open play has made him indispensable to the Springbok cause. Marx's performances in crucial matches, particularly during World Cup campaigns, have elevated him to legendary status among South African supporters. The thought of deliberately moving away from a player of his caliber seems almost incomprehensible to many observers. However, Erasmus has always been willing to make tough calls when he believes the long-term health of the program demands it. At 30 years old, Marx still has plenty to offer, but Erasmus may be calculating that now is the optimal time to blood his successor rather than waiting until the veteran's decline forces his hand in less favorable circumstances. Andre Esterhuizen presents another fascinating case study in Erasmus's apparent willingness to prioritize potential over proven performance. The powerful center has been a wrecking ball in midfield, using his considerable physical gifts to punch holes in even the most organized defenses. Esterhuizen's ability to gain hard yards in contact and create opportunities for his teammates has made him a valuable weapon in the Springbok arsenal. His time playing in England and Japan has also broadened his rugby education, adding layers to his game that make him more than just a one-dimensional battering ram. Yet despite these attributes, whispers suggest Erasmus believes the time has come to explore other options in the midfield, players who might bring different dimensions to the attack or whose age profile better fits with the timeline he has in mind for the next World Cup cycle. Then there's Sacha feinberg-mngomezulu, perhaps the most intriguing name on this list given his youth and the excitement that surrounded his initial selection. The talented playmaker burst onto the scene with performances that suggested he could be a cornerstone of the Springbok backline for years to come. His skills, rugby intelligence, and composure under pressure marked him as a special talent, someone who could help the Springboks evolve their playing style while maintaining their traditional strengths, that Erasmus might now be considering. Moving on from feinberg-mngomezulu, even temporarily, has left many scratching their heads. Some theorize that the young star may have suffered a setback in his development or that Erasmus has identified other prospects he believes possess even greater potential. Others suggest this could be a strategic move designed to light a competitive fire under feinberg-mngomezulu, pushing him to elevate his game to secure his place in the squad. Understanding Erasmus's motivations requires appreciating his fundamental approach to building winning teams. Throughout his coaching career, he has demonstrated an almost ruthless commitment to meritocracy, repeatedly showing that reputation and past achievements guarantee nothing when it comes to selection. He has never been afraid to drop big names if he believes better options exist or if he thinks a player has become complacent. This philosophy has created an intensely competitive environment within the Springbok setup, where every training session matters, and no position is ever truly secure. It's an approach that has kept players hungry and maintained standards at the highest level, but it also means that even the most celebrated stars can find themselves out of favor if Erasmus decides a change is necessary. The timing of this potential overhaul is particularly significant. With the next World Cup still several years away, Erasmus has a window of opportunity to experiment without the immediate pressure of must-win knockout matches. The upcoming Rugby Championship and end-of-year tours provide the perfect laboratory for testing new combinations and giving untested players exposure to international rugby. If these experiments fail, there's still time to course-correct before the stakes become truly existential. Erasmus understands this calculus better than most, having navigated the pressures of World Cup cycles multiple times. His willingness to make bold moves now suggests confidence that he can identify and develop the talent necessary to keep South Africa at the pinnacle of world rugby. The question of who might replace these established stars adds another layer of intrigue to this developing story. South African rugby has always possessed remarkable depth, with provincial competitions consistently producing world-class players across all positions. Several young hookers have been making waves in domestic competitions, showcasing the kind of athleticism and skill that could translate seamlessly to the international arena. In the midfield, there's no shortage of powerful ball carriers and creative playmakers who could be given opportunities to stake their claims. At fly-half and fullback, the nursery of talent seems particularly rich, with several youngsters demonstrating the kind of X-factor abilities that get coaches excited about future possibilities. What makes this situation even more compelling is the element of uncertainty surrounding Erasmus's ultimate objectives. Is this truly about finding the next generation of stars, or could there be other factors at play? Some have speculated about potential player unavailability due to overseas commitments, injuries, or personal circumstances that haven't been publicly disclosed. Others wonder whether this represents a broader philosophical shift in how Erasmus wants the Springboks to play, requiring different skill sets and attributes than those possessed by the current incumbents. The lack of official comment from Erasmus or the South African Rugby Union has only fueled further speculation, with everyone from former players to armchair experts offering theories about what's really happening behind the scenes. The reaction from fans has been predictably mixed. Die-hard supporters of players like Marx and Esterhuizen have expressed dismay at the prospect of losing proven performers who have given so much to the Springbok cause. Social media has lit up with debates about whether Erasmus is being too aggressive in his pursuit of renewal or whether this represents exactly the kind of forward thinking that will keep South Africa ahead of their rivals. Some fans point to the success of previous bold selection calls, while others warn of the dangers of fixing something that isn't broken. The diversity of opinions reflects the genuine uncertainty about whether this approach will ultimately prove vindicated or misguided. From a strategic perspective, there are compelling arguments both for and against Erasmus's reported plan. On one hand, managing the transition from one generation to the next is one of the most difficult challenges in international sport. Teams that wait too long to refresh their squads often find themselves caught in a painful rebuilding phase just when they need to be competitive. By acting proactively, Erasmus could ensure continuity of success and avoid the cliff edge that has plagued other dominant teams in rugby history. The Springboks could maintain their position at the top of world rugby while simultaneously preparing for the future, a rare achievement that would cement Erasmus's reputation as a truly visionary coach. On the other hand, there are obvious risks associated with moving away from players who have proven themselves at the highest level. International rugby is unforgiving, and young players can struggle with the intensity and pressure that comes with wearing the Springbok jersey. There's no guarantee that the next generation will reach the heights achieved by their predecessors, at least not immediately. If results suffer during this transition period, Erasmus could face intense criticism and pressure to reverse course, potentially undermining the development of the very players he's trying to elevate. The balance between building for tomorrow and winning today is delicate, and getting it wrong could have consequences that extend far beyond a single season. As this story continues to unfold, the rugby world will be watching South Africa with intense interest. Erasmus has earned the benefit of the doubt through his extraordinary achievements, but even his most ardent supporters acknowledge that this represents a significant gamble. The coming months will reveal whether reports of this squad overhaul are accurate and, if so, which players ultimately benefit from Erasmus's faith in youth. One thing seems certain. Whatever decisions he makes will be thoroughly analyzed, passionately debated, and ultimately judged by results on the field. For Malcolm Marx, Andre Esterhuizen, Sacha feinberg-mngomezulu, and the emerging talents hoping to take their places, the next chapter of Springbok rugby promises to be as dramatic and unpredictable as anything that has come before. The legacy of this bold experiment, should it indeed materialize, will be written in the years ahead.